Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon again. I declare open the 7th meeting. We will now proceed with the presentation of the outcome reports of the UPR of Japan and that of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. We will begin with the outcome report of Japan, and I now have the honor to invite His Excellency Mr. Seki Teibei, Head of Delegation of Japan, to present the outcome report of Japan. Excellency, you have the floor.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. First of all, before I would like to go on to the main speech, I would like to show the sincere gratitude towards the organizing committee for having Japan in this competition, and more importantly, the distinguished members of Japan would also like to express a sincere gratitude towards all delegations for the efforts and recommendations provided for Japan via the UPR mechanism. To finalize Japan's standpoint in the UPR, we would like to pledge on the 5 criteria that were thoroughly discussed during these sessions. First of all, concerning the freedom of expression and speech, the Specially Designated Secrets Act, SDS, obligates the government's simultaneous protection of the national security and the rights to know for the public, whereas we also need to consider the quality of the confidential information. We will continually encourage the transparency surrounding the SDS by submitting the annual report publicly made by the House of Representatives in Japan, which was monitored and given the feedback from the experts. In addition, the anti-conspiracy bill's sole mission is not to remilitarize the country or crack down on dissidents, but to protect Japanese citizens, and is a step to ratify the Convention on Transnational Organized Crime, TOC. Concerning the media independence, the government of Japan fully promotes the Broadcast Act and would like to emphasize Article 21 of the Constitution of Japan, which guarantees the freedom of speech, press, and all other forms of expression, and prohibits the censorship by the government. In June 2016, the Act of the Promotion of Efforts and Eliminated Unfair Discriminatory Speech and Behavior against Persons or Organizations from outside Japan was enacted by National Diet of Japan to combat the current issues regarding hate speech crimes. The government of Japan has taken substantial measures and legislative to tackle, prohibit, or prevent the issue related to freedom and opinion, and we would like to further make our efforts to keep it this way. Regarding human trafficking, though Japan is recognized by the United States to have met all the human rights efforts and is classified as the highest tier, which is tier 1 in the current status quo by 2018, it is without saying that throughout the discussions, we have seen that the technical intern training program, we believe, has a part of unethical treatment within its system, and believe there is still space for improvement in this system. Therefore, Japan would like to pledge that we will continuously make efforts to vet and look into the OTIT program that is currently existent to vet, and as promised by 2017, did not meet the current standards the human rights standards provided for the migrant workers. Therefore, we would also like to pledge that we will take this debate back to our home country and further develop and investigate into the current conditions to thoroughly vet and provide the necessary conditions for our migrant workers. Now, regarding the Fukushima nuclear disaster, or aka the environment, we would like to ensure that, in line with the recommendations of the United States of America, we continue access to proper healthcare and housing for those who have been displaced, as well as ensuring that nobody is forced to return to affected areas out of financial hardships. Furthermore, we would like to continue our efforts concerning transparency, information sharing, and practical resource assistance for those who have returned to affected areas. Concerning the SDGs, we would like to continue to be in the forefront of technical development to help vulnerable developing countries adapt to climate change to reduce the incidence of climate refugees, and apply the lessons learned from the Fukushima nuclear disaster to increase capabilities concerning refugees and internally displaced persons. Now, Japan requires to reduce economic and social gaps in terms of gender And Japan requires to reduce economic and social gaps between genders, and we need to combat the discriminatory violence related to gender issues. We emphasize our achievement to establish and revise the penal code to make complaints systems more victim-oriented. In order to improve women's empowerment, especially women's decision-making position, we will continue expanding recurrent education to enhance women's access to opportunity, to gain adequate skills, and engage in a high position in companies. Additionally, in June 29, 2018, we established work style reform aiming to narrow the wage gap between part-time workers and full-time workers, and subsequently women, the majority of them, engage in part-time work. We will be able to gain more economic power in the society. And lastly, we would like to mention about the current conditions about children, of the rights to the children, especially the abuse against children, which we believe is a constitutional problem as regarding the Article 25, that the government should assure all the livelihood to all citizens. We believe that the cycle of poverty, first of all, should be stopped by our four-approach system of our establishment, of our commitment. Additionally, we are more than happy to state that Japan is one of the highest-ranking countries that is providing a good and protected environment for children. Therefore, we are very happy to bring these issues back to our home and further protect the human rights of our citizens. Thank you.
I thank once again His Excellency Head of Delegation of Japan for the presentation of the outcome report. I now propose that the Human Rights Council adopts the outcome report of the DPRK of Japan as it has been presented. I see no objection. The report is adopted. Let me then move on to the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. I now have the honor to invite His Excellency Mr. Martin Weiser, Deputy Head of Delegation of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, to present the outcome report of the UPR of the DPRK. Excellency, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. The DPRK is...
Excuse me, could you please turn on the microphone and start again? Thank you.
Thank you. The DPRK has long supported an equal and unpolitical treatment of human rights situations across the globe in the UN, and welcomed the opportunity to participate in the third cycle of the UPR today. It is a firm position of the DPRK government that it is only this forum and not political biased country resolutions that allow for constructive discussion and debate on human rights. In this regard, we appreciate all sincere questions and constructive comments received today. Due to our political system, we cannot note or support recommendations today, but we will forward everything to our leadership and will report to the Human Rights Council in due time about the results. However, we fundamentally reject any allegations of human trafficking, torture, or forced labor by the state, as these are even crimes in DPRK territory. We firmly reject any allegations that we are responsible for these crimes. This year, the Korean Peninsula has witnessed tremendous change and several historic events, including the first US DPRK summit by both leaders and several summits with the South Korean president. These developments create an atmosphere of friendship and progress for both nations on the Korean Peninsula and the globe, and will further decrease military tension on the Korean Peninsula. As also acknowledged by the ICCPR, it is security that can be an obstacle to human rights. And also the DPRK had to take measures to limit political and economic rights due to the military threats and military tension on the peninsula. But as events progress and the military security of the DPRK is guaranteed and its national sovereignty, the government desires to reduce these limitations until the human rights of the North Korean DPRK citizens are eventually equal with other parts of the world. This includes the freedom of expression, the freedom of movement, the freedom to join organizations voluntarily and other relevant political rights. As currently the DPRK is still heavily sanctioned by unilateral sanctions and the UN Security Council, also economic development of our strait has been severely hindered. As also is envisioned in the 5-year economic plan of our government, any economic progress will directly benefit economic, cultural, and social rights, including political rights where it is necessary for individuals to invest resources to protect them. As also raised by several delegations, the right to food security is currently not fully ensured, and we hope that economic progress will solve this issue, including the protection of women, their right to work, and children in any education institution or even in detention facilities. It is the highest aim to ensure the human rights of social groups and vulnerable groups, including children and women, and we will make further effort that, for example, juvenile criminals are treated fairly in prison and re-education camps, and also in educational facilities and orphanages. But we like to remind the delegations that the government has obligations to protect their rights, and thereby they also have to follow certain limitations of movement and freedoms. Other rights that were raised were environmental rights and, for example, the dangers of nuclear power or air pollution. And the government also hopes that with economic progress, for example, fossil energy can be reduced, and solar energy, wind energy, renewable energies can be increased. Also for nuclear energy, since we have received criticism from the international society for a long time, we hope that with energy cooperation from South Korea, maybe nuclear energy is not longer necessary for the DPRK. Regarding other issues, it was also raised that, for example, women and children might be exposed to environmental pollution, and we will further review the situation to address these concerns. As we have to acknowledge there's only little information available to outsiders, and we will make efforts with the recommendation by the CEDAW committee to provide this information the next time. We kindly ask all UN member states to support the DPRK in achieving its goals on human rights, and we will cooperate with anyone that constructively and sincerely engages us on the issues of their concerns. Thank you.
I thank once again His Excellency Mr. Martin Weiser, Deputy Head of Delegation of the DPRK, for presenting the outcome report. I now propose that the Human Rights Council adopts the outcome report of the UPR of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea as it has been presented. I see no objection. The report is adopted. This concludes the presentation and adoption of the outcome reports of UPR of Japan and the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. And this brings us to the end of the UPR session. Before closing the session, let me thank all of those who have assisted us behind the scenes, the UPR Secretariat, the staff, the volunteers, and also my partner who had been next to me, who assisted me, and for their excellent service and support. I also wish to express my appreciation for the jury who have been with us and listening carefully to each and every of your statements throughout the entire session for the 2 days, which has been a long days. And thank you all for your hard work and commitments. I hereby declare closed the session of the UPR Working Group of the 2018 International Model UN Human Rights Council Universal Periodic Review. Thank you very much.